there are two main things on this bike that I really want to get changed. One of those things is this ridiculous rear fender with this plastic. It's got like this kind of retro vibe going on it with this part, but then they just mucked it all up and added this giant chunk of plastic here. The other thing is these mirrors, which, you know, they don't look really that bad to me, but they don't work. They stare straight at my shoulders when I'm riding down the road, so I'm going to swap those out to something that will hopefully be a little more useful. We'll see if we have time to do both. I'm going to get started here because I think this is probably a more difficult job. Now, this isn't meant to be a how-to video exactly. This is just kind of my general impressions of it and everything, doing it myself. So we'll get into that. And the Fender Eliminator tail tidy, whatever you want to call it, I got from TST Industries. And the one that I got actually removes the factory taillight and blinkers. And so I'll take this out of the box and kind of show you what it's included with. So this is everything that is included with the kit straight along. Now, there's a couple of things here that I have that you might not have depending on what you select when you check out. So the base kit is this piece here. So you get this taillight, which includes your blinkers. You get this little blocking plate for where the void is going to be from when you remove the taillight, and then you get this pigtail that connects this to your factory harness. So this is just the base kit. Then, while you're checking out, you can choose to add either no license plate bracket at all. The assumption would be that you already have a previous kit and that you're just looking to kind of upgrade. You can get this. This is the most basic one, non-adjustable, or for a couple dollars extra, you can get the fully adjustable one. I just went with this. I believe I'll have to kind of see when I get into it, but I think that this bracket goes along with this. There's some hardware here. Not sure if it would go with the base kit or this part. And then this is a flasher relay. What this relay does essentially is, because you're switching from incandescent to LED, the relay is going to see less resistance in the circuit and it will make it flash too fast. So this is an adjustable relay. There's a little dial in the top, so you can get your flashes to the correct speed. Okay, so finally, it is apart. It looks kind of silly now without a seat or the fender. Kind of interesting, honestly. But let's come over here. I want to show you the first little mistake that I made. So this bracket here kind of sits on the tail, like so. It's bolted over that, and then there's 4 bolts that you got to use to get the fender off. Now, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not going to try and make this a total instructional video. This is kind of like bullet points from my personal experience. But anyways, this bracket is bolted up here, and it has to be removed in order to access these bolts. In this bracket, when you take your bike apart, you're going to see there's a latch in it, and maybe TST has a really good installation video, and I did watch it, but maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, because when I saw this, for some reason it just didn't look familiar to me, and I was worried, because this is where the seat latch is. I was worried there might be like a cable or something that retains it, so I decided to take these two 10mm bolts out, and thinking that if there was something retaining it, that it could just lay in the frame, and turns out you can just take the whole thing as one piece, because the way this latch works is it's just got this little flipper from the key, you see? So there's no anything holding it together. You can just literally pull it straight up. It's not a problem. The other thing that I struggled with, that the only answer to it I can think of is if you use a pick, is this has a little barbed clip that fits down this hole. It's very difficult to access between the fender and this piece in order to remove this. So I had to kind of fight with it. I didn't have a pick. I did do it with just a normal screwdriver. So you could too, but you just have to be very careful. You don't want to scratch up your fender. You know, the whole point is to keep the fender. So those are the only two things I really had any struggles with. Now, what I have to do is figure out how I'm supposed to disassemble this. And I'm gonna be honest, the installation video is not super fresh in my head. I mean, I watched it earlier today, but I feel a little foggy on exactly how that went, and I don't necessarily think watching it repeatedly is going to help me. So I'm just going to kind of take a crack at it and see how it goes. All right, we got it done here. Yeah, so here's what it looks like. As you can see, this is the monstrosity that came off of it, and I'll go ahead and put before and after comparing this both ways, and I'll even go ahead and throw the I'll even go ahead and throw on the tag just so that you can really get a good idea, even though that's a temp tag, so it's a little bit bigger and goofier than the permanent tag for sure. And just to give you an idea of how bright the tail light is on it, this is just the tail light, like this isn't the actual brake light. So I don't have the flasher relay in right now, just because you know, it isn't flashing that fast to me. But yeah, as you can see, everything works. So yeah, out of the Fender Eliminator kits I did research on, and I found this one's probably one of the better ones. I mean, I think the most common one is, again, the one where it just cuts you off right at the seat. I'll try to find a picture of one to throw up in this video. And I think I like this a little bit better because, for one thing, it's not going to look like every other XSR out there. So that's really good, in my opinion anyways. I like that it does retain some Fender. I think having it end at the seat is just asking for your back to just get covered in mud and water. So I like having that little bit. I'm sure that isn't going to do a ton, but again, you'd probably be a little surprised. Now, as far as what criticisms do I have? Well, I wish that, you know, for the couple of cents per item it would have cost them, even if it cost them like $2, $3, $5, $10, I wish that they would have included a shroud that goes up underneath. Like right now, I don't have one because their intention is that you're supposed to cut. There's a little channel here. If you look at their installation video, there's a little channel here on the factory fender that you're supposed to cut and put in place. And their argument is, well, if you ever have to replace it, it's super cheap. They throw out some number, so don't worry about cutting it. Well, for me, you know, I just, you know, there's also added labor to it when alls it would be like, I could literally 3D scan that part and cut it off and have it injection molded. It wouldn't be like a huge deal. Especially like they're already having this piece injection molded now, so they must have thought at some point when they were designing this product that we're gonna make enough of these to make it worth paying for this custom part for specific to this bike. That's, I believe this and the wiring harness are the only specific parts to this bike. The light that goes with other kits, the license plate bracket goes with other kits, and you know, obviously it's just standard hardware. But I don't know, I would be willing to pay probably $20 more for this product if it included a pre-fit little channel to hold your wiring. I'm not too worried about the key, protecting the key, and they even say you don't have to cut yours, you know, you can just leave it exposed. But now I'm more worried about the connector and the wiring. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm not really in love with. And other than that, the only other thing that I have to criticize them about is the lack of written instructions. This kit did not come with written instructions. I don't know if they have them available for download. I didn't really think to look for that, but for me, you know, having it on paper, you know, rather than having to go and find it on my phone or on my computer and print it out or carry it around, you know, just that extra touch would be really nice. because then I get kind of like, I get going on this and I see it doesn't come with the instructions. I see the installation video, so I'm like, okay, you know, I guess I'll go back to the installation video, and then all of a sudden I'm skipping back and forth through the video, and it's a whole thing. Anybody that's been through this knows that that's not ideal. Now, even if they wanted to like throw like a little, I don't know, I mean, I really think that they need to have written instructions, because there's a couple of times where like just the specific order of the way these parts go together is not completely perfectly intuitive. Like, you know, if you've installed parts, you know, aftermarket parts before, you know, sometimes this stuff isn't so straightforward, especially if you haven't installed a specific thing on the specific vehicle before. But like, if you haven't, if you ever like put together like a Lego set, you know, it's like sometimes you're surprised by the way the pieces go together. Like, it isn't the way you would have thought, but in the end it makes sense. It's like that with this. So in trying to memorize a whole hour, I think the installation video is like an hour and 20 minutes. And the funny thing is it would take me, the video was actually longer to install this than what I actually took to install this myself. Mind you, I did forego a couple of little steps because I have to cover it for people that have different variations of the way they're installing it. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, it's a really high quality part. I think that that's a pretty minor criticism, and for all I know, they could have it available for download, which would probably solve my only criticism, my only real big criticism of it. So, you know, don't get too riled up about it. You know, I'm just saying it would have been nice to have it on paper. But would I buy this again? Yes, I would. I might honestly consider just buying the bracket and keeping the stock light. Like, I don't hate the stock light, but what I really didn't like was the turn signals. So I'm kind of happy to get rid of those. So I think this is a really clean look, and it's something that not everybody else has. Well, maybe some of you that are watching this will have it now, but yeah. So my next project is to swap my mirrors, and I'll try to cut in kind of what that looks like. It's a pretty simple little thing, just bar in mirrors. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch everybody in the next one.